I'm leaving on a 3-week trip tomorrow. However, I really only have space for one book in my carry-on bag. Yes, I'm only bringing a carry-on bag. The problem is I have 6 contenders for books, so how am I ever going to choose between them? And let's be clear, I meant that I'll only have space for one physical book. I'll still have my ebooks and my e-reader. This is just how I decide which book to bring with me physically. And this is actually the general method I use anytime I have too many options for what to read next. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna call it the book buffet method. And whenever I've explained this in the past to my friends, they've all looked at me like I was crazy. The first step of the book buffet method is to build a short list. That might be a stack of books you picked up while browsing a bookstore, a bunch of library holds that all came in at once, or books that you've been meaning to read that have been quietly gathering dust on your shelves. I'm gonna go with the latter option today. Because this trip is pretty long, I'm not gonna rule out any lengthier options, but I am still looking for something that's gripping and easy to dip in and out of. Since the majority of my trip is going to take place in China, I've decided to pick out 3 authors of Chinese heritage. And the other 3 books have been just at the top of my want to read list for a while. The method itself is simple. I spend about 30 minutes to an hour reading the first pages or opening chapters of each book, and then based off of purely vibes, I decide which one I'm feeling the most. This takes the pressure off trying to pick the best book and instead reframes the question as, well, which one of these do I actually feel like reading right now? Oh boy. Okay. So without further ado, let's begin our book buffet. Yum. The first book on the menu is The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. This is an award-winning collection of sci-fi and fantasy short stories. Ken Liu has been on my radar for a while because I really enjoyed his translation of the 3 body problem books that he's done. However, I've never actually read anything he himself has written. And apparently, the titular story, The Paper Menagerie, is the only short story to win the Hugo, the Nebula, and the World Fantasy Awards. That's crazy. The second book on the menu is Chemistry by Weike Wang. Immediately, I was drawn in by the cover. It's about an ambitious PhD student who is struggling with her research and feeling a little bit lost in life. Her boyfriend just proposed to her, and yet she has no answer for him. I just have a soft spot for narrators who are a little bit aimless or indecisive and questioning the image of success that they've been handed by society. The third book on the menu is Authority by Andrea Long-Chu. So I looked this book up on Goodreads, and the first review said, "Call me biased, but I love a mean book review." Honestly, same. I'm a sucker for hot takes, sharp criticism, and I love a writer who's not afraid to be a hater. I'd like to think of myself as somewhat of an amateur critic, so I would love to read this and see how a professional goes about it. I think another thing that drew me into the book is that Andrea features a lot of different media that she critiques. I think she's critiquing TV, video games, novels, and even theater, if I'm correct. So I think it would be interesting to read criticism on multiple different forms of media. The fourth book on the menu is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Yes, I know that this is really popular. I have not yet read it, and it makes me feel like I'm missing some crucial prerequisite to my dark academia education. And I'm also writing a campus novel myself, so I think this will be good research as to what that could look like. The fifth book is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I hear that the less you know, the better going into this book, so I'm actually not going to read the synopsis. 2 of my good friends have rated it very highly on Goodreads, both 5 stars, so I've been really anticipating this one a lot. And last but not least, we have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This has been at the top of my sci-fi fantasy TBR list for years. Brandon Sanderson loves it, and I feel like that's a really high endorsement. The book is about this person named Kvothe. He is a musician, an arcanist, a hero. Kvothe is telling his own story. He's going to have to mythologize himself. There's probably going to be unreliable narration, and I just find that structure really interesting. And Ursula K. Le Guin is also on the back of the book, so that's a double endorsement for me. So without further ado, let's read the first couple pages of all these books and see which one we're feeling the most. Okay, so I'm back from my brief sampling of all the books. I kept it pretty short. I was so drawn to the Paper Menagerie for so many reasons. I think me and Ken Liu are just kindred. I don't know. The preface was nice itself. He kind of explains this collection. He's always been a short story writer. He's also a translator. Every act of communication is a miracle of translation. I believe that like so hard. I think it's so difficult to communicate what's going on in here to yourself and then to others and then on the page. So he's already got me there. And then he describes, you know, the process of reading itself. Like strikes the marks, reflects into a pair of high precision optical instruments sculpted by nature after a billion years of random mutations. Upside down images are formed against two screens, blah, 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 blah. The entire system seems fragile, preposterous, science fictional. He's marveling at the act of writing and reading itself, and I love that. And that was just the preface. The first story is called The Book-Making Habits of Select Species. Come on, come on. I love books, and we're starting off with a short story of different societies and how they write books and how they capture language. Like, I'm already sold. So I think this one might be a top contender, but let me go through the other books as well. Chemistry, I really like this. The language is really simple, but still evocative. It's in first person, but it already seems like a little bit detached. I think I would just blow through this book in probably one day, making it not the best book to bring on my travels, but I was really intrigued. And that's kind of the problem with the book buffet, because you sit down and you start reading all of these books and you're like, dang, I'm interested in all of these. But you know, you just have to kind of go with your gut and see which one you're feeling the most and that you like just really couldn't put down. Authority. This one was also great. Begins with a preface as well. Andrea is telling us where this book came from. It's a collection of a lot of their criticisms. And the first piece which I read was Criticism in a Crisis. Immediately, this book is really political in, I think, a good way. There's so much shitty things going on in the world right now. I think it'd be really good to engage in something that was like really political and thoughtful, which is what these first couple of pages, it gave me that impression. Yeah, I just think it's like a little bit heady and is gonna require a lot of my focus. Again, I definitely want to read all of these books. I own them because I already think I'm gonna like them. It feels bad to put this one aside, but I'm not sure if this is gonna be the best vacation pick. Okay, next was The Secret History. Yeah, again, this was pretty enrapturing. Immediately, there's a dead person. I think I knew that as part of the synopsis before. The mystery is very compelling. I could see this being like a little bit slow. Like, I think it'll be worth it, and I think some friends have mentioned that it's kind of a slow burn. Yeah, I just think I need something a little bit faster paced. But I am intrigued. Piranesi. This was so fascinating. I almost put it down because the first page was like really confusing. I understand that that's maybe sort of the point of the book. We're describing all these halls. This protagonist or main character, whatever, they seem to be trapped in a location and they're trying to discover where they are. It's so fascinating. There's a literal section called A Description of the World. I am determined to explore as much of the world as I can in my lifetime. To this end, I have traveled as far as the 960th hall to the west,
the 890th hall to the north, and the 768th hall to the south.
I'm just like, what is this? This is fascinating. Then there's a section of the first person, myself. I believe I am between 30 and 35 years of age. Second person, the other. So there's another person in this location. I just love it. It's so mysterious. This one really piqued my interest, and I'm sorry that The Name of the Wind had to go last. I think by the time I got to this guy, I already had so much interesting stuff going on in the rest of my pile. I like read the first page and it's fantasy, slow. I hate these like tiny books. I hate them and I love them because this would be really nice to bring in my travels. The size to density ratio is really good. But yeah, I just kind of wasn't feeling this. I know I'll like this, I just, maybe not right now. And that's the whole point. The book buffet is supposed to tell you what you want to read right now. And I think that ultimately it comes down to the Paper Menagerie. This will be great. Short stories. I can dip in and out. Piranesi. So interesting. So intrigued. Yeah. I also fear that I will just gulp this up in one sitting. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Paper Menagerie. It was just good vibes, and Ken Liu is, you know, a Chinese American author. I think that'll be good, because ultimately I am gonna be spending more than 2 of the 3-week trip in China. I think this will be a really good fit. And that's how we decide. You're coming with me, Paper Menagerie. It is fun though, because now I have read a little bit of each of the books. I have a sense, you know, next time I'm picking up something to read, I'll already have these in mind. I'll know the vibes, and it'll help me pick them first, maybe in a future book buffet. Well, I have to go. I have to finish packing. At least I've decided my book. Can't believe I'm going to China. Bye!